Let's move on to something that I think was much more relevant when we talked about that earlier petition that the Sindh High Court was looking at, where females, etc., or women who are affected by insulting, annoying, or otherwise intimidating messages that they receive. Now, most of what we just discussed up from 506 down to 508 may or may not relate to some of the things that they're facing. But this specific section, 509, definitely deals with issues that are faced by women who are harassed on the internet. So let's talk about that. Section 509 of the Pakistan Penal Code very clearly states that words, gesture, or act intended to insult the modesty of a woman. Now let's read what it says. Whoever intending to insult the modesty of any woman utters any word, makes any sound or gesture, or exhibits any object, intending that such word or sound shall be heard, or that such gesture or object shall be seen by such woman, or intrudes upon the privacy of such woman, shall be punished with simple imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine, or with both. So basically, if anybody tries to either do something, say something, produce an object which has the same impact that will be heard and seen by others or by that woman, which insults her or affects her modesty or affects her privacy, then that is a criminal offense. It doesn't matter whether you do it in written form, it doesn't matter whether you do it in oral form, it doesn't matter whether you just mime it out, and it doesn't matter whether you do it through an electronic mechanism or use of MMSs or SMSs or emails or otherwise. It is an offense under the Pakistan Penal Code, and you can walk into a police station and have an FIR lodged against anybody who has done this. So I would basically, again, highlight the fact and underscore the fact that there are sections even now, currently within the Pakistan Penal Code, which I think are better definitions and much more useful for the protection of the modesty and the ills that we see sometimes and the abuse we see sometimes that is taking place against women. And using these sections would probably be the best idea, rather than go and create new offenses, etc., which we've seen in the past under the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Ordinance can actually be used to, or abused, frankly, for political or otherwise other purposes. So frankly speaking, I think, in my advice, if you are a person who is facing these sort of problems, then you should immediately file a criminal complaint, get some legal advice, and either lodge an FIR or file a criminal complaint. The next question would be, where do I go to the Federal Investigation Agency, the NR3C, which is the National Response to Cybercrime Cell, and lodge it there? Or do I go to a simple police station? I think that currently, at least in this interim period, and I don't know when you'll be watching this video, but currently the Prevention of Electronic Crime Ordinance does not exist. So you have only one option. You can go and you can lodge an FIR with your local Thana, with your local police station, and I think that would be one of the probably one of the ways that you could do this. Now, the NR3C may come in for technical assistance to track down who it was, where the IP address is, what the identity of this person who's trying to send you these messages are. Sure, all of that would be done through them, but at the end of the day, I think you should file it to the Thana. When the Prevention of Electronic Crime Ordinance or Act or any other cybercrime legislation does arise, which basically may or may not take into account these, then you should go to that special federal agency, which would then assist you in that process of criminal prosecution. But for the moment, I would say that you would immediately go to your Thana and lodge this FIR. And that's pretty much what we could discuss as far as the Pakistan Penal Code is concerned. Now, what other options do we have? If you know the identity of the person who's doing this, in addition to the fact that you can file a criminal complaint or lodge an FIR, you could also send them a legal notice threatening the same, making them aware of the fact that their activities are in breach not only of the law, which is civil, i.e. you can claim damages, but also of the criminal offenses that they are committing under the Pakistan Penal Code. Now, there's one other aspect I'd like to deal with here. If somebody is harassing you and their messages, for instance, are effectively defaming you because they're being circulated to other people, you also have the ability to initiate a claim under the Defamation Ordinance of 2002, which has been amended subsequently in 2004, or you can even lodge an FIR, because it's a criminal offense to commit defamation in Pakistan, under section 499 of the Pakistan Penal Code. So you have both options. So what you would do is, apart from the fact that you would use all the sections under the chapter 22 of the Pakistan Penal Code, about criminal intimidation, about modesty of a woman, or insult or annoyance, or anonymous communication, all of that, you could also institute proceedings for defamation if those messages or the product of whatever that person is doing amounts to defamation, and you would then have to send them a notice. Remember, if something is published as defamation, you have a certain limited period of time in which to send them a notice. So don't wait around thinking that, well, we'll see what happens, and just wait on weeks on weeks. Immediately send them a notice, a legal notice, with regard to defamation, saying that this is defamation. If you do not immediately apologize, I will be instituting criminal, both actually, criminal as well as civil action. So that would be the next step of a legal notice. Finally, you have the two options. One is the criminal prosecution, as I mentioned, which the state would continue with. You yourself could instruct a counsel to assist the prosecution, because you may have questions about how vigorously the state prosecutor might pursue the case. But if you have your private counsel, he may be able to assist in making sure that it is vigorously pursued. And the second option is to file a civil case for damages for all the insult and annoyance and harassment and defamation, if that is made out, that has been caused to you because of these messages. So you would also have that additional option, and I think that you should definitely avail of that if you are able to identify who this person is and have enough proof to be able to nail him to the wall on this issue. One of the things to remember is that, and I shouldn't say him, it could be a her as well, you never know. But remember that when you're actually proceeding with a criminal case, the standard of burden of proof is beyond reasonable doubt, which is much more difficult. But if you're in a civil matter, it is balance of probabilities, which is 50-50, and it is much easier. So just keep that technical aspect in mind before you proceed with either or both of these options.